Thanks very much for Professor Kim for the talk. I believe there should be a lot discussion and questions and discussions, and especially in the cases of comparison. So you can raise the questions in English or in Chinese. I'll do the translation for you. 如果大家想用中文问的话，那就用中文问，然后我就翻译。
Mainly I have two questions. The first one is in the very beginning you tell us that I thought that would be the time for U.S. military occupation, right? Mm-hmm. So after all these years when the truth has been excavated, is there any official, maybe not accusation or some kind of transitional justice to do against the rules of occupation government? That is the first question. And the second one would involve some comparison. And because we know that the victim executed during the White Terror in Taiwan after maybe the end of 1990s, has been found. For example, the mass grave in Yojiang. And also when some groups of people start to commemorate these people and to tell the truth, and the Taiwanese government would maybe do something to compensate. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But they are still, in Taiwan, we still call them victims. Yeah. And some of them are wrongly executed. For example, some of them are non-communist. Yeah. But on the other hand, in I think it's 2013 in China, they start a new memorial park to commemorate some of these people died executed in Taiwan as the martyr of the nation. Oh. Yeah. So back to your speech, the ghosts, the ghosts of victims. Then in Taiwan they become human again. They become the citizen, the wrongly case, the wrong execution. But in mainland China they become the martyr, because the royal spirit of the nation. So is that some similar case in Korea, that because in your speech you said some of them belong to the labor parties? Yeah. So in the North Korea, will they commemorate these people in different way? Yeah, so we see the comparison between ghosts and spirit. Yeah, so that would be my second question.
Very good question. It hit really central issues in discussing about this episode incident. First question is about the influence of American occupations in all these total destructions. And now this year in June 20th, Cheju, the representatives of the transitional justice organizations like the Peace Foundation and other research institute are going to have a human rights forum in UN, asking for the responsibility of this massacre, because there is a very clear kind of historical facts they are involved in. Because episode incidents occurred during their occupational period, it's a little bit different in Taiwan. And also they made this all the record of this the process of their suppression and counter-insurgency kind of actions, in G2 report. So there is very clear this, big documents to prove that. And also, Bruce Cummings, who is a historian, made very clear statement about the American responsibility. I have that article, and he has been promoting this, his kind of interpretation or his kind of claim since 50th anniversary 20 years ago. In 50th anniversary of April 3rd incident, which was the ceremony which was held in Tokyo. It was he was even then he was not really freely entering South Korea because he wrote even at the time he was not very free. His work on it's a book, very famous history of Korean War. And last 20 years of this continuous, very effective transitional justice activism in Cheju and also in Korean nation, people now begin to openly talk about this American responsibility. And quite recently, in January, this wrongly sentenced criminals, Jeju people who were sentenced during the April 1948 and 9. Now become not guilty. It's a kind of global scandal now among the international law. It was in America, Japanese people during the Second War too. Japanese people was kept in what is called detention camp, and they got this compensation for that, and their kind of legal status was clear, and this Jeju case was also it's a huge numbers, several thousand, 3,000 or 4,000 people were wrongly sentenced to death or sentenced for 10 years or 20 years in jail. But during the Korean War, some of them disappeared, some of them ran away from the prison in the mainland. Some of them were just pregnant women because they were sentenced to just 1 or 3 years of prison for her husband who went to mountain or something like that. There was always some kind of substitution sentence. Okay? So families also suffer from that. Some family members were killed as a substitution for these mountain guerrillas. But Jeju case, mountain guerrillas are local people. So they had close connections, family connections of delivery of food or information communication. So these militaries and police forces trying to gather information from remaining family members of these mountain guerrillas. So they had this martial court. It's called temporary martial court. And anyway, first president of South Korea initiated the martial law during the Sasang. So it's all a kind of martial law court. So just like Jang Jae-soo, President Lee Seung-man was considered as the kind of central killer. But he's all that. But this kind of, I don't know, in the Taiwan case, you have only victims, but you never really ask for the responsibility to the, what is it called? Yeah, I forgot the English.
The perforated.
Yeah. What is populated? I forgot the English.
There's the one who killed
Yeah. Killer. Okay, I would just killer. So it's just actually very hot issue of Oroba now. But Jang Jae-soo was accused of perpetrator, main key perpetrator. But the rest of his followers were never really got a sentence or whatever, In the same way, the Cheju case, we have only victims, but no perpetrator. Well, in 1960s, before the Park Chung-hee regime started, the Cheju people suggested the claiming someone's responsible for the killing of this particular village massacre, something like that. And then there was very clear description of who is the killer, what particular military group, and even sometimes with the name of that military group leader. But the Park Chung-hee, general coup d'etat succeeded in establishing the dictatorship. And these local people who initiated this petition for solving this problem were arrested and they were in jail. And after that was 1960. So now, what time is it? 60, even after 60 years, we couldn't do any more. So anyway, so this June 20th UN Forum for Human Rights and asking for the US responsibility for mass killing will be the kind of starting point for this really real addressing a real justice, kind of balancing, the killing. It's very different from South African, truth and reconciliation. Very different. In the South African case, even perpetrator, killer was supposed to make a public kind of apology, and their sin or their criminals.
Still sentenced. Yeah, they can spare to get into prison, but they're still sentenced. So in the Argentina case, they had this process of kind of act of justice, but
in Korean case, Sasang and also Oroga, you don't have it. I don't know what, is this a cultural difference or what? It's so hard.
Or someone would say because the unsolved divisions between North and South Korea and China, mainland China and Taiwan, and because this historical problems never been solved. So if you want to try to appeal for the justice, they will involve some more complicated issues.
Right, exactly. It's related to your second question. This China, contemporary China's establishment of martyrs kind of nation, what is memorial. I just read the story of this. There are lots of spies, Chinese spies, in the beginning of this Chiang Kai-shek's regime, and they were, considered as martyrs and also patriots. And actually, in the case of Jeju Sasang, the leader of this communist South Korean Labour Party leader was actually Jeju-born young intellectual, but he fled to North Korea. So he was treated as a hero of this whole event. But there must be some truth about it, but people really don't know it, because there are a group of people who are actually involved in this North Korean Labour Party, or I think the Jeju Sasang scholars really don't want to talk about it. Yeah, it's still secret, kept secret, because and also this leftists, there are lots of leftist thinkers. They were intellectuals. They were trained in Japan during the colonial times, and they were teachers in elementary school and high school.
Medical doctors.
Or I don't know about medical.
Because in Taiwan there is a lot.
Yeah, you have lots of medical doctors.
Even the whole branch in the
and also lawyers.
Yeah.
So many. Even now, Taipei City Mayor is a doctor. Well, I don't understand what he's saying, but the way he speaks is just like looking like a medical doctor. He just says something, just information. Do not really describe it. Very strange, kind of. Anyway, in Jeju case, you know very well. During the Japanese colonial times, Jeju people finally got such a great opportunity to move out of Jeju Island and get a modern job, like as a factory worker, and also good education. So in the 30s and 40s, Jeju people, I think more than 1/10 of Jeju people moved to Japan for a job, and they're factory workers, they run the business. So 60,000 people returned to Jeju after the emancipation, but they had to go back to Japan. I mean, this time smuggling to by boat. And actually Sasang activists, in the beginning period of kind of democratization or justice, or Jeju natives living in Japan, Chinese, their role is very important. they, Jeju people is very community, has a strong sense of community membership. So even though they moved to Japan for a job and better opportunity of education, they also have a very strong ties with the former villagers there. Anyway, I think there must be this, the mountain gatherers during Sasam were educated very highly in Japan, and most of them were involved in even socialist movement, and also what is called non-governmental
Anarchist.
Anarchist. I'm sorry, I forgot the particular word. Anarchist. There were strong anarchist kind of spirit. Yeah, So that's the reason why they survived in that mountains. In the mountains, Jeju, Mountain Hala is a volcanic island. It's volcano. It's a high mountain. You can only hide in the cave. But it's a very deep mountain. It's covered with this small trees, and you can't really enter an area. And I think several hundred, 300 or sometimes 500, and they would attack police station or attack the military, but they survived. And also because they are born in Jeju and they are they have family members in the village. Some of them had like a tombstone or tablet in this public April 3rd, this peace park there. So it's still going on. There's what is called unlawful tablets. Some 120 tablets whose names already shrined in that public, the place, were taken away after this conflict because the rightist group complain about it. They are enemy of the state. How can they stay together with real victims, common victims, civilian victims? So it's still going on.
Just like because in Taiwan we do the different way. Yeah, because from last year we started a program of political rehabilitation, and for those they were communist. The Taiwanese government just ignored and say they were unguilty. They are not guilty, and try to do this series of program. Because if we study the historical documents, we will know that these people were really communists. They are not maybe not spy, but they are organizer, facilitator.
You have a communist party.
Yeah, we have a Taiwan.
The famous woman.
Yeah, everybody knows that they were communist. The Taiwanese government just no, they are just victims.
And ignore the differences.
Yeah. They know that, but they cannot recognize that.
I mean, they cannot. What do you mean?
Because
if they don't give any credit. What's the purpose?
Well, if we want to give this victim some credit and to call off the national memorial or national commemoration, something like that, if we want to do that, they should not be communist.
They should be innocent.
They should be innocent.
Innocent
Intellectual.
Very interesting. It's just opposite direction.
I
You know, this Taipei Oroba exhibition on Jeju is going to deal with this comparison of Oroba and Jeju. I think maybe we should deal with this issue.
and that's also the question.
Maybe it's very important. This government try to
This
kind
administration
of create
try
a harmonious,
try to
kind of
create
inclusive.
Yeah.
But in Korea, we are more officially exclusive.
Actually, this kind of inclusive is another kind of exclusion.
Right.
Because they try to include these political activists as innocent, not apolitical. They try to depoliticize them. And then so they would say they are great scholar, they are great intellectual Taiwanese, but we do not see any red of them.
So
Because if you reckon the redness of these people,
Mm.
you should deal with the historical problem between the Taiwan and China, between nationalists and the communists.
I see.
So they skip this part. Try to ignore that.
Ignore. Okay. The
So this
policy of ignorance.
this is kind of an inclusion, try to support the political exclusion right now. They try to clean themselves out any Chineseness. So there's no red people in Taiwan. If there were some red people in Taiwan, they already fled to mainland China. Maybe some sort of traitor.
This is very new things. You know, this is very interesting.
So, yeah, I think I would like to have a follow-up question of that. So when there is the public commemoration of the death in the massacre, how did the public commemoration deal with the complexity and the different backgrounds of those who were killed during the Cheju Massacre? So how were the different backgrounds? Were they ignored or subsumed into a single story, or that will also be discussed in Korea?
Very good question, you know. It's all related to this historical transformation of this transitional justice. Well, the first first official report of April 3rd victim or damage was done in 1995, okay, by the Jeju provincial kind of parliament. And that was the first time to receive the application for victims. So the status or title of victims becomes really, it's still remaining a hot issue. Who decide the victims? In what range? So you need at least 2 or 3 witnesses, or what is the proof. So 1995 was the first report, and 1998 was 50th anniversary. At that time, the whole kind of public kind of atmosphere of forgiveness and reconciliation occurred in 1998. And there's once this Cheju local provincial